So Epstein unalived himself, but he was an innocent man with $577 million, 0 clients, and no evidence against him. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for trafficking children with him, even though he had 0 clients. There's no evidence that he trafficked anyone, and there's no evidence against him for anything at all. It was on her desk, and now it doesn't exist. That's what they're expecting us to believe. There's no client list. He didn't blackmail anybody. There were never any victims. And nobody else is getting charged. So they trafficked kids to nobody? They didn't traffic kids to nobody. Then what is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for? They think that they're like some master level gaslighters. They're just really bad liars. It was on her desk, but now it doesn't exist at all. She got 20 years in prison, but there were no clients and there were no victims. That's what they're expecting us to believe. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not buying that.
The Epstein list refers to conspiracy theories claiming that Jeffrey Epstein maintained a secret roster of powerful individuals he allegedly exploited or blackmailed. These rumors were central in QAnon-style speculation about elite sex trafficking and blackmail operations. In July 2025, a DOJ and FBI memo conclusively stated there is no credible evidence that such a client list ever existed. The memo also confirmed Epstein died by suicide in 2019, and there was no sign of foul play.
If Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice and partner in the sex trafficking scheme, is spending 20 years in prison for sex trafficking, and then Trump and his people said in February that there's a client list, but then yesterday there turns out to be no client list, but then Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for sex trafficking. Who was she sex trafficking people to if there was no list? Like, how was she convicted? Also, when the White House invited all of those influencers like DC Drano and Libs of TikTok, and they handed them a full binder of the Epstein files, what was in the Epstein files? What was in those binders? And also, if Jeffrey Epstein said that Donald Trump was one of his best friends, and then Republicans got fired up that they were going to release the files because it was going to expose all of the elites in the corruption with the sex trafficking and the...
So why is Trump's FBI lying about Jeffrey Epstein? Are they covering for Trump? Remember Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre, who unfortunately took her life back in April? Well, she also had a diary. In that diary, this is what she wrote, quote, "I used to be watched by Epstein's hidden cameras, which I have seen myself. The FBI have the archive footage showing me being abused by other men, used as blackmail." So where is this FBI footage? Why aren't they listing the names of men who were abusing Giuffre and potentially other women? Where is it? They're saying that the investigation's over with and they have no more information. And why did they announce today that they have no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals? What's going on here? Is Trump just simply covering for the man who used to call him his best friend?
Just remember, they're not releasing the Epstein client lists because there are names from both parties on it. It's why Biden didn't release it. It's why Trump isn't releasing it. Because at the end of the day, they know that the second that this information is released, it will actually be a piece of information that can, to some degree, unite the right and the left-leaning individuals that are down here on the ground and just little people. It will unite us. It will give us something to agree upon. That is the last thing they want. This administration thrives on the divide that they have created. And this will unify us down here on the ground. While I, as a leftist, am not super, fond of a lot of conservative values and individuals, specifically the MAGA individuals, I think MAGA, conservatives, and the left-leaning individuals can all agree we want to see that list, no matter who's on it, right or left. We want to see who's on it. And the second they release it, it will unify us. That's why they aren't doing it. The conservatives, the MAGA individuals specifically, ran on this platform that they were going to release it so they could get the votes, and then decided when it came down to it that if they were to release it, it would change the divide that they're creating. It would not help them because they're protecting their own, and because their own are on it, regardless of the left or not, they have to protect the left the same way. And really what the right and the left at the top want is the divide. Specifically the right, but the left doesn't help with it either. And they actively encourage other left-leaning individuals to perpetuate the divide as well. That's a whole other thing I'm going to get into later. Granted, the conservatives don't make it hard to do that. But there is still encouragement in it, okay? They want us fighting down here. They want us bickering amongst ourselves and yelling at each other. They do not want us united. And while I may not agree with people on the right, I would unite with someone on the right who agreed with me on this and was like, let's make sure that these people never wind up in office again. Let's not only never vote for them again, but make sure that they never live down their experience at Epstein Island. And that's really the last thing the right or the left wants. Okay? In terms of the politicians, not us down here on the ground. I'm not talking about us down here on the ground. I'm talking about the politicians and the celebrities, but specifically the politicians that would lose their jobs if they were found out, on the right and the left, because they're both on it. The only reason they will not release it is because they're protecting themselves. It's the reason why the left didn't release it either when they had the opportunity to do so for 4 years. But y'all ran on this platform. Y'all ran on this platform, conservatives. MAGA, y'all ran on this platform. Release the list, brother. We want to know who not to vote for. We want to know who to actively seek out and be like, hey, yo, why were you allowed in this position in the first place?
I don't believe that the Epstein files don't exist. If they really don't exist, then who is this lady on the far right next to Epstein in this picture and Donald Trump in this picture? And why is she in prison right now? Could it be the fact that she's a child predator and a trafficker? Is that not why she's in prison right now? If the files don't exist, why is she in prison right now? Can somebody in MAGA world explain this to me? Let's just recap for a second. A person who was a known child predator and trafficker mysteriously is imprisoned in a federal prison underneath the Trump administration, mysteriously dies during the Trump administration. They claim it was a suicide. There was no video footage at the time that this took place, but, years later, they will all of a sudden have found video footage, and they found that it showed that nothing happened outside of his cell that night. So, it was definitely him taking his own life. And after a few months ago of saying that there were definitely files that they were going to release to the world, now a few months later, there are no files and we can't even discuss it anymore because the discussion's over. Look, even Scooby-Doo and the crew could figure this one out. I mean, this is the most obvious cover-up ever. Like, maybe ever. And of course, leave to Donald Trump to make it the most obvious cover-up in human history. I mean, he's in those files, man.
Trump and Epstein were acquainted throughout the 1990s and early 2000s. Epstein referred to Trump as his closest friend at one point. Flight records show Trump flew several times on Epstein's jet in the early 2000s, but no allegations of wrongdoing emerged from those trips. In February 2025, then Attorney General Pam Bondi, appointed under Trump's DOJ, publicly promised she was reviewing an Epstein client list and would make it public. She later clarified she meant the entire investigation file, not a list of clients, after no secret list was found. Some Trump allies, like Kash Patel and conservative influencers, initially stoked conspiracy theories around Epstein. But once Patel and DOJ investigators concluded no list existed, the move split the MAGA base. Some felt betrayed or frustrated, while Trump himself distanced the administration from further discussion, calling reporters' inquiries unbelievable. Elon Musk briefly rekindled the controversy with claims, later deleted, that Trump's name was in Epstein files, calling for transparency. Musk later backtracked, but Republicans including Michael Wolff biographers and Steve Bannon called for investigations into potential cover UPS or undisclosed material.
This huge MAGA influencer who went to the White House back in February and paraded around the Epstein Files Part 1 is now coming out and saying like, hey, we got duped by Donald Trump. In a long post on social media, he said, as one of the influencers who was given the now infamous Epstein binder, I want to share a few thoughts. I understand the rage people have for demanding the Epstein client list and arrest every influencer that day feels that same anger watching people get away with it. 2, we had no idea we would receive these binders that day. We were originally invited for a meeting with J.D. Vance in the White House, and that was it. We all paid for our flights and hotels out of pocket and carved out time to go. None of us even knew who was invited. We ended up meeting all these people, yada yada. Then 3, we had a surprise meeting with the Attorney General, and she handed us the Epstein file binders. We all heard on the news that night before that she'd be releasing these files that day, so it was surreal. 4, the photo shoot, that photo we just saw, was not planned. We were walking from the White House to the Eisenhower building, and about 50 photographers were waiting outside. We were told a lot of the info in the binders was not new, but that some of it was new. If it weren't for this guy, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Then 7, influencers do not control the Epstein files. We aren't the federal government. We're regular people who've become outspoken activists. We can't rewrite history, yada, yada, yada. But what he's saying here is they got duped. Trump said, like, oh, we're going to be releasing all these documents, and now fast forward to now, they're saying there's no client list and they're not releasing anything further. Now, this guy's a known liar, so take all of what he just said with a grain of salt, but nonetheless, even the MAGA influencers who went to the White House for this massive file release are saying, like, yeah, not great.
Trump is mentioned 64 times in the Epstein files. In his many court cases, he has pleaded the fifth 97 times. He has 34 felony conviction criminal charges, 26 sexual assault allegations, 6 bankruptcies, 5 draft deferments, 4 indictments, 2 impeachments, 2 convicted companies, 1 fake university that was shut down, 1 charity that was shut down for fraud, and a $25 million fraud settlement. But yeah, sure, lecture me on how no one else is above the law. Because the way this country works is if you're rich, you can do whatever the fuck you want and the laws don't apply to you. There's always a loophole. Rich people are above the law. We're in an oligarchy. They make the laws to benefit them. It's not hard.
So if Donald Trump thinks Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, why did he hang out with them for decades? He told The New Yorker in 2002, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life."
So Trump completely lost it when the reporter dared to ask about Epstein, calling them a waste of time and snapping on sight. But hey, don't worry, there's no list. Feel safe, everyone. Nothing to see here. Sure, Epstein had a private island. There's a dead body in prison, missing video footage, 2 cameras that broke, guards who fell asleep, but no list. Guess that makes it all like nothing happened at all, right? Yeah, there are some videos showing well-connected, wealthy man doing things, but as long as those names aren't typed out in a bullet-pointed Word document, all the scandals magically evaporate. That's not just denial, it's gaslighting. They say there's no list. They say as if that somehow erases the footage, the victims, the trauma, or Epstein's guest book. And meanwhile, Trump's meltdown, the second Epstein leaves the reporter's mouth, absolutely the behavior of someone totally, absolutely innocent.
In a world where power shields secrets and the truth gets buried beneath politics, the Epstein case continues to raise more questions than answers. Trump's name, once again, is caught in the storm, but is it guilt by association or a convenient distraction from the real culprits? So here's the real question. Do you believe the truth about Epstein will ever come out, or has it already been buried for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a story that matters. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. This is Orbit Point, where we connect the dots you're not supposed to see. Stay sharp and stay questioning.